for our high school years. And even though we used to get high before school every day, Mike still somehow managed to be like the smartest kid in high school. He was like the valedictorian, right? So he's the smartest person I know, and the most verbose, and he's now going to give us some extra words.
So about a month or two ago, Jeff said, "Hey Mike, I'm having this birthday party, and I want all my friends and relatives to perform. I think you could do like a spoken grade type routine." And I said, "Let's just swim to Cambodia. I don't know if I can do that or not, but Jeff, as always, I think as Rich said, been pushing us beyond our comfort zone, so let's give it a whirl with my friend Harold here. Hopefully it won't end up more like Andy Rooney than Spalding Gray, but we'll be the judge of that, I suppose. Okay, so there are at least two things that all of us have in common here tonight. First, we all know Jeffrey, and second is that we all have a face. In fact, with one or two tragic exceptions, every single one of the 7 billion people in the world has a face. Of course, if you are someone who believes that personhood starts at conception, and maybe a few New Yorkers of that ilk, then from your perspective, there are also many unborn fertilized egg people that remain faceless. They may not have faces yet, but pretty soon after conception, I can't see this too well, they get to work on building a face. That takes a lot of energy. Now, do you need a face to be a person? Maybe you do, maybe you don't, I'm not sure. I thought about faces as I was getting ready for this party, because while we all probably spent some time choosing what to wear, we had no choice in deciding All right, so we all had the choice of deciding what to wear, but we had no choice in deciding what face to wear. But wait, well, now, quite, that's not actually true. Allow me to modify that point. Most men don't feel like they have a choice about what face to wear to a party, but women in our culture do have some leeway in selecting a face. They can choose to add color or not. They can add a lot or a little. They can add lines. They can add emphasis and shadow. They can even choose to overdo it. That is their style. I thought about faces a lot when I was taking human anatomy in medical school. During the first year of medical training, you deconstruct all of the body parts that you used to view holistically. And faces, just like every other part of our musculoskeletal system, are made up of moving parts. So, instead of seeing a face as an ever-changing, ever-readable reflection of someone else's emotional state, we were trained to look under the skin, to understand the face as a mechanism comprised of bone and muscle, sense organs, and fascia, gristle, scaffolding, and moving parts. Now, all of that analysis and dissection of that icon of personality, the face, made me begin to wonder just what makes one face attractive and another face unattractive. Consider this. One of the first things we notice about another person after their sex and their race, or maybe even before their sex and their race, is the shape and proportions of their face, and whether or not we consider it attractive. Perhaps not everyone goes through this assessment, maybe just the majority of us that are shallow, and there are probably even some exceptions to that rule. But sociologists tell us that facial attractiveness has a lot to do with symmetry. And that may be true. There are certainly many examples of that in popular culture today. And there's lots of evidence that puffy lips and big eyes are also appealing, especially in women. Of course, it's possible sometimes to take that trend, the big eye trend, a bit too far. And there's something about the expectation of familiarity that makes a face comforting. The familiarity quotient is not lost on makeup artists and filmmakers who routinely capitalize on the shock value of facial distortions. And if you think about it, you'll realize that is the essence of most horror movies. So, for example, facial hair in the wrong places is reliably disturbing. Excessive facial piercing can also be disconcerting. And replacing lips with hooks is a sure way to frighten off potential love interests. Quills on the forehead probably also won't go over very well in a speed dating front. Speaking of face appeal, there's also the ratio of skin to underlying facial structures. That's something we all have to deal with sooner or later. We want just enough skin, not too little, not too much. So smooth skin is our cultural ideal. The evolution of a person's face over time came to mind for me on this occasion because I met Jeff 40 years ago. Back then in 1973, we both owned the teenage facial phenotype. But a lifetime of facial expressions, along with gravity, begins to take its toll. There's no way around that, so we might as well face it.